Welcome to Sacred Texts Summarized, where we delve into the timeless wisdom of the world's most profound spiritual and philosophical texts. Today, we explore one of the most celebrated teachings of Mahayana Buddhism, a text that cuts through illusions as sharply and precisely as a diamond, revealing the nature of reality and the path to liberation. This is the Diamond Sutra. The Diamond Sutra, or Vajrakedika Prajnaparamita Sutra, is one of the central texts of the Mahayana tradition. It is part of the Prajnaparamita collection, a series of teachings on the perfection of wisdom. These texts guide practitioners to see beyond the surface of phenomena and into the very fabric of reality, a reality that is impermanent, interconnected, and empty of inherent self. Though composed around the 4th century CE, its wisdom transcends time, offering insights as fresh and relevant now as when they were first shared. The sutra is structured as a dialogue between the Buddha and his disciple Subhuti. Through their conversation, the Buddha challenges our fundamental assumptions about selfhood, duality, and the nature of existence itself. This text doesn't simply answer questions, it dismantles them, leading us beyond conceptual understanding to direct experience. As we journey through the sutra's teachings, let us reflect on our own attachments, fears, and assumptions. How much of what we cling to is real? How much of it is illusion? And how might seeing beyond these illusions transform the way we live and relate to the world? The setting of the sutra is tranquil and meditative. The Buddha, residing in the Jeta Grove near the city of Shravasti, has just completed his morning alms round and sits with his disciples. In this serene moment, Subhuti, a monk renowned for his understanding of emptiness, asks a question that will become the foundation of the entire teaching. How should a bodhisattva practice the path to enlightenment? How should they view the world and their role in it? This question strikes at the heart of Mahayana practice. A bodhisattva, unlike someone seeking enlightenment solely for themselves, commits to liberating all beings. But how does one approach such an immense and paradoxical task? How does one act selflessly in a world defined by the illusion of self? In response, the Buddha offers a teaching that is at once practical and profound. A bodhisattva practices generosity without attachment. When giving, they should not cling to the idea of a giver, a recipient, or even the act of giving itself. He states, a bodhisattva should give a gift without being attached to appearances. This teaching challenges us to look at our motivations. When we give, whether it's time, resources, or love, do we do so freely, or do we expect something in return? Gratitude, recognition, or a sense of self-worth? True generosity, the Buddha explains, arises when we let go of these attachments and give simply for the sake of giving. To illustrate this, the Buddha offers a startling analogy. Imagine a person who gives away countless treasures, enough to fill 1,000 universes. Now, imagine another person who understands the teaching of non-attachment and practices it in their giving. The merit of the second person surpasses that of the first. Why? Because their generosity is free of ego and illusion. Pause for a moment and reflect. When you help someone, are you aware of the subtle ways in which your ego seeks validation? What would it feel like to give purely, without any strings attached? The Buddha then turns to the concept of anatta, or no self. He explains that while a bodhisattva works for the liberation of all beings, they must understand that these beings are ultimately empty of inherent existence. He states, in the ultimate sense, there is no self, no other, and no beings to be liberated. At first glance, this teaching seems contradictory. How can one act compassionately for others while realizing there are no others in the ultimate sense? This paradox invites us to explore the nature of identity. We often define ourselves through roles, relationships, and achievements, clinging to these identities as if they were solid and unchanging. Yet the Diamond Sutra reminds us that these are illusions, like reflections in a mirror or waves on the surface of the ocean. Take a moment to consider. Who are you beyond your roles and labels? Are you the name you were given at birth? The profession you chose? The relationships you hold? If these were stripped away, what would remain? Subhuti, seeking clarity, asks the Buddha a profound question. Can enlightenment be attained? The Buddha replies, "No, Subhuti. There is no such thing as enlightenment to be attained. If a bodhisattva holds the idea that they have attained enlightenment, they are not truly a bodhisattva." This teaching challenges our understanding of spiritual progress. We often think of enlightenment as a goal, a destination we must strive toward. Yet the Buddha tells us that enlightenment is not something to acquire. It is not a prize or an achievement. Instead, it is the realization that there is nothing to attain because everything we seek is already present. Imagine climbing a mountain only to discover that the summit you were chasing does not exist, that the journey itself was the destination. This is the essence of the Diamond Sutra. The Buddha deepens this insight with a series of metaphors. He compares all phenomena to dreams, bubbles, shadows, and flashes of lightning, transient, insubstantial, and fleeting. These metaphors invite us to examine the things we take for granted. Our desires, fears, and attachments often feel monumental, yet they are as impermanent as clouds passing through the sky. Reflect on a moment of joy or sorrow from your past. At the time, it may have felt all-encompassing, but where is it now? The Diamond Sutra reminds us that clinging to these experiences, whether positive or negative, is like trying to hold water in our hands. It inevitably slips away. Subhuti, still seeking to understand, asks the Buddha about the nature of the Dharma, the teachings themselves. The Buddha responds with another paradox. The Dharma is like a raft. Once you have crossed the river, you must leave the raft behind. This teaching warns us against clinging even to the spiritual path. The Dharma is a tool, not a destination. It is meant to guide us, but once its purpose is fulfilled, we must let it go. To hold on to the teachings as fixed truths is to miss their deeper essence. Ask yourself, are there beliefs, practices, or identities you've become attached to? How might releasing them create space for new understanding? The Buddha concludes the sutra by emphasizing the immeasurable merit generated by someone who embodies its teachings. Yet, he reminds us that even this merit is ultimately empty. This teaching bridges the infinite and the immediate, showing us that liberation is not somewhere out there. It is here, in the way we meet this moment with openness and compassion. The Diamond Sutra invites us to live with profound freedom. It challenges our assumptions, dismantles our attachments, and reveals the boundless nature of reality. Its teachings are not easy, but they are transformative, offering a path to a life of clarity, compassion, and peace. As we part today, I invite you to reflect. What illusions are you ready to release? How might letting go of attachments open the door to greater freedom and connection in your life? Thank you for joining on this journey through the Diamond Sutra. May its wisdom inspire you to see beyond illusions and embrace the infinite potential of the present moment.